Alright, today I'm going to walk you through how I go about doing a face swap in Photoshop. I'm going to start by picking a picture that I want to swap the face onto. Then I'm going to pick the face that I want to swap. Something you want to keep in mind, you want to make sure that they're looking, or at least have their head tilted at about the same angle. It's okay if they're looking different directions, because you can flip one of the pictures to make them match. But you at least want to make sure that they have their head turned about the same amount. And when we're all done, we should end up with something like this. Alright, to start out, you can click Create New Project. I like to just grab the picture that I'm going to be editing first, and I just drop it right over here. Alright, so I'm going to start by cutting out the face. If you click down here, there's a zoom tool. And I am going to use the crop tool because I took a screenshot, so there's a lot of extra stuff in the picture. Now, this one right here, object selection. I'm going to have to do this a few times to make sure that I get the picture that I want. But I think this should be okay. Now that I have the section that I want picked, I'm going to right-click and layer via copy. And so it will create a copy right over here. And so if you look down here, these are my layers, and there's this little eyeball next to them. If I take away the eyeball, now we see that we just have the face. So now if you look down here, I just have the eyeball on this one layer that I want. So I can go up to File, Export, and I'm gonna export this. So now what I'm going to do is, you see in this folder how I have the picture that I want. I'm going to drag it over this spot down here. And what that's going to do is, now this is on its own page. You see I have these tabs up here to flip back and forth. I'm going to leave this one open just in case. So for the next step, I'm now going to take the picture, and instead of dragging it down here, I'm going to drop it over the face. And now it pops up just like this. So now I can get an idea of what I need to take out of the picture. Get rid of the face by deselecting the eye. One thing to note is when you drop a picture in here, it won't let you do anything to it. But if you click on it over here, it will give you this little box. You just click OK, and now you can mess with the picture all you want. So now I'm just looking at Mario's face. And you can see it won't let me do anything on this picture because I have the other layer selected, even though you can't see it. So I have to click on the background layer, and I can now mess with it as I want to. So we're going to go back to the object selection tool, and we're going to select a few objects that we want to take from the picture and have be on top of the face. So we can start with the mustache, and that looks pretty good. So we're just going to make a copy, put a layer on it, and then we're just going to deselect it because we don't need that right now. We want to get... Oh, you see, that didn't work because I was clicked on the wrong layer. Gotta make sure you reselect the background layer. So there we go, this chunk of his hair. And one thing to notice is that this does have parts of the background in it, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be laid over right on top of where it already is. Let's see, we're going to take this chunk of hair. There we go, that works. And now the last thing we're going to need is his hat. Alright, so now you can see if I just put out all these, this is what's going to show up. Now these little bits in the back will actually be filled in because these will be pasted over the actual original picture, so it will blend together a lot better. And there's the face. So I want to move the face down. I'm dragging it down on this side. And now you can see All the pieces are here. I think I want to adjust where the head actually is a little bit. So I'm going to go over on the left and select this tool right up at the top. Make sure that the head layer is selected. And now I can adjust it a little bit. I'll just keep the mustache out of the way for now. We can bring that back later. I think the head might be a little bit too big. So what I can do is click on the head, make sure it's selected. You can go up to Edit and Transform. This is where we would flip it or rotate, do anything like that. But we're going to select Scale. Alright, right there should be good. So now that we have the spot that we want selected, I'm just going to move the mustache into place. And I think I might actually want the mustache to be slightly smaller. So we'll go back to Edit, Transform, and Scale. Something that I'm noticing that does look a little bit odd is if you look in this bottom corner, the mustache is sticking like off a little bit too far over his face. So I can make sure that I just have the mustache selected and come up here to the eraser tool. And because this is the layer I have selected, it will only erase from that layer. What I will do right now, though, is maybe just trim off the top of that and the bottom. And it looks a little odd right now, but that we're going to touch that up later. If you ever mess up, you can always hit Control Z to undo. Now I'm going to move on to the neck. I'm going to select right here the lasso tool. So now I can just go like this and then press delete. So now I'm going to go back to the eraser and I'm going to bring the neck up just until the point of I can see the other person's neck. That's looking good. One thing that I'm realizing that we forgot to do earlier, his glasses. We're missing a chunk of his glasses. So that's why it's good to. So it's good that we left this portion up, because now we can go back to it to see if I can just take the glasses with the auto cut tool. Pretty sure this will do. So we're going to do the layer via copy. So we're going to zoom in on here, go to the eraser tool, and get rid of a bunch of this. So it's important to release your click after you get a chunk that you like. So that way if you do something bad, you can hit Control Z. What I'm going to do is reduce. If you come up here, you can see if there's a point and then a number. This will be the pixel size. So I'm going to go down to 3. I'm going to make sure that I just have this one layer selected. And we are going to export. Take the image that we just exported and we can drag it right over onto the picture. There we go. So I took the layer of the hair and I moved it up, so it's now above the face but below the glasses. Okay, so one thing that does look a little weird is the light being right here but not right there. So what I'm actually going to do is take the eyedropper tool. I'm going to snag some of this light. We're going to go to the paintbrush. We're going to add a little bit of that going over the edge. Let's see, and I'd really like to get rid of a little bit more of this blue lighting. Yeah, make sure that we have this layer selected. We're going to go to the eraser, and now I'm going to drop this all the way down to 1 on the size. But now that I think I'm done here, everything that I'm going to be doing from here on out is mostly going to be adjusting color and like using the stamp tool. So what I'm going to do now is export this photo. We're going to grab the picture and drop it down on this side. And we will now have a third tab with this picture in it. Alright, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is try to work around the neck a bit. So I'm going to grab something called the stamp tool. And what the stamp tool does is allow you to hold Alt and then click on a section. And I can now copy that section onto another part of the photo. Okay, so now that the neck looks for the most part alright, I'm gonna take some pieces from the cloth of the shirt and put it over to make it line up a little bit better. Now, I'm going to up the size of this by a little bit. I'm going to take some hair. Alright, now we're going to keep messing around with the skin. We're going to take from the skin right next to it. And just extend it on over it. Alright. Now I'm going to go back to the hair. We're going to move the hair over just a little bit over the edges. So now the inside of the glasses should look a little bit better. So I'm going to turn this back up to about 10, and we're going to go back to so not too bad. Doesn't need to be perfect. I think I'm going to take a little bit of hair. There we go. Then I can put the mustache like that. And that's a little bit of a better transition from the neck down here to his face up there, which are slightly different colors. You can see that this curl of hair on this mustache right here is the same as the curl from behind, and that looks a little bit off. So I'm going to, let's see, let's probably up this a little bit, just to like, there, let's try 14. I'm just going to take some hair from his mustache. So we made this look slightly less like a hair curl and it blends in with his mustache a little bit better. But now what we want to do is take hair from up here and put it over the hair on the side. So this also looks slightly different. And now it doesn't look like they were just taken straight from the same place. If we look at the hair, where these two different pieces meet, it creates, you know, kind of a jagged edge. So, right back to the stamp tool, we're just gonna grab some hair and fill in that edge a little bit. Alright, now that looks a little bit more natural. And, there we go. So I brought out his chin a little bit on the right side to make it match up a little more with up here. It's still slightly off, but at least it's closer. I'd say that's not bad. So then we export it. Alright, and then so saving this would save the actual project file, but I'm not really planning on doing anything with any of this, so. And this is the picture that we ended up with. But I would say not too bad. Alright, well, I hope this helped. Thanks for watching.